Hello, and thank you for watching today's Corn Belt Regional Forecast. I'm Andrew Pritchard, meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. So you look at the next 10 days, really the next 5 days, we're seeing a very summer-like pattern across a big chunk of the Corn Belt, although an early taste of winter as you head off to the northwest. We've got a jet stream alignment, something like this, a big trough in the west with a ridge over the east, and that is what is bringing that warmth across much of the Corn Belt, also setting the stage for a very active pattern across parts of the central Corn Belt into the upper Midwest, with frequent rounds of showers and storms, and then again some wintry precipitation as you head well off to the north across parts of Montana and the Canadian Prairie, and maybe looking at our first frost across parts of the upper Midwest. If you look at the next 5 days of precipitation, again, honing in on this area for some showers and storms as we head through the weekend. On the backside of this, some colder precipitation, some snow across the Canadian Prairie, across Montana, and then some very chilly rain likely falling across parts of North Dakota as we head through the weekend. Looking beyond that, over the next 10 days total, really still focusing on this corridor from the southern plains through the central plains into parts of Iowa, Wisconsin, and the Great Lakes as our more frequent path for rainfall events over the next 10 days. The last 24 hours have been pretty quiet across the Corn Belt, some light precipitation across the northern plains, and we're watching now for some showers and storms to begin popping up across parts of Iowa and Missouri. We'll take a look at that here in just a moment. Didn't have to wait long. Let's look at the satellite picture right here. And again, I'll draw your attention to parts of Iowa and Missouri. You see the little percolating spuds there beginning to pop up in the early morning hours. Those are the first rounds of showers and storms across parts of the Midwest beginning to get underway. We can see that when we look at the radar picture again, focusing on the same area. There are those showers and storms popping up. These will continue to lift off toward the east-northeast across parts of northern and central Illinois during the day today, with one or more rounds of showers and storms possible across this very same area as we head through the day today, into the overnight, and then even into Saturday morning. Taking a look at the surface picture here on Friday morning, high pressure off to the east, southerly flow on the back side of that, keeping moisture pumping northward from the Gulf of Mexico. A couple of frontal boundaries stalled out in the region. We'll see one finally setting up across the Midwest here, across parts of Iowa, Missouri, and Illinois. Again, that's setting the stage for those multiple rounds of showers and storms before we need to see another stronger area of low pressure develop across parts of the Intermountain West, across the high plains, ejecting across the northern plains as we head through the back half of the week. And this is a look at the surface picture on Sunday morning. Again, watching for a very large storm system to begin developing out here across parts of the west. That frontal boundary still stalled across parts of the central Corn Belt, keeping showers and storms in the forecast there. But this storm system off to the west, this is one that's going to bring a lot of cold air on the backside here, and that's what brings that chance for some first rounds of accumulating snow across parts of Montana into the Canadian Prairie. And then perhaps even a few snowflakes in far northwestern North Dakota as we head through the backside of the weekend. The next 3 days, your severe weather forecast, there is a slight risk for some strong storms across parts of eastern Kansas into Iowa and Illinois as we head through the afternoon and evening on Friday. On Saturday, that severe weather risk going to be across parts of eastern Kansas into western Missouri. And then as this next storm system begins to lift across the northern plains, a chance for some strong storms across parts of South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, and Minnesota, with snow on the backside there across the Canadian Prairie and Montana across the northern high plains. So a very spring-like storm system here with severe weather in the warm sector and snow on the backside as we begin to head straight into fall and eventually winter. We are making that transition, as hard as it may be to admit it here, as I really am enjoying the warmth here in central Illinois. Let's go ahead and take a look at the high-resolution NAM model, take a look at where we are headed then over the next 2.5 days. Go ahead and play this out, just going through time here. Watching this first round of showers and storms begin to erupt across Iowa and Missouri as we head through the Friday morning hours. Watching these perhaps become more widespread and more numerous as they head across portions of northern and central Illinois midday on Friday. It's as we head into Friday night, late Friday evening into Friday night, that we'll watch for the more widespread round of showers and storms developing along that front. This is the one that has the better chance to produce a little bit of severe weather from eastern Kansas into northern Illinois as these thunderstorms begin to erupt as we head into Friday night. Heading into the overnight hours, watching these continue to track off to the southeast and eventually dissipate as we head into Saturday morning. That front is still kind of stalled right in this region, so while I'm expecting Saturday to be a little bit quieter, still can't rule out an isolated shower or storm Saturday across parts of Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana. Watching for the more widespread rain chance later in the day across parts of eastern Kansas into western Missouri. That's where that chance for a strong storm or two is going to be Saturday afternoon into early Saturday night. Watching these lift off to the northwest. This is when we start to see that area of low pressure begin to really develop across parts of the high plains. You can kind of see the flow here. Strong southerly flow on the east side here, the warm sector, with cold air beginning to wrap around on the back side here. If I just kind of play this out, you see the circulation developing. So this is when, as we head into Sunday, we'll watch for a couple of strong storms possibly across parts of the high plains here, parts of the central Corn Belt from the Dakotas into Iowa, Nebraska, and Minnesota, with snow on the back side. Taking a look at the total accumulated precipitation, this from a high-resolution NAM model, just taking it all the way through the weekend, and we'll pause it here as we get to Sunday afternoon. This will be midday Sunday. So looking at the Friday and Saturday storm chances, most concentrated right in this region here, parts of eastern Kansas into northern Missouri, eastern Iowa, and the northern half of Illinois, perhaps portions of southern Wisconsin and northwestern Indiana as well. As we head into the weekend, we'll watch more showers and storms head into the later part of the weekend, so getting into Sunday afternoon and evening. What's not showing up on here, that would be that chance for some more widespread precipitation right in this area, and maybe a couple of strong storms. So we take this a bit further, looking at the GFS model. We'll go quickly through the weekend. We've just kind of covered that in depth. Let me go ahead and go back here. I just clicked in the wrong area. Taking it quickly through the weekend, here's our Friday night round of storms across Iowa, Illinois, and southern Wisconsin. This begins to develop southward into eastern Kansas and Missouri as we head into the overnight. Watching these storms begin to dissipate, keeping the chance for some isolated storms along that frontal boundary in this region as we head through Saturday, but really then watching towards the back half of the weekend, getting into Sunday, watching this major storm system develop, watching the impressive flow around that. Cold air on the backside, that's where we get the snow across Montana and the Canadian Prairie. Warm air advection on the front side, this is where we get that unseasonable warmth as we start the week across the Corn Belt, and that chance for a strong storm late in the day Sunday across this very region, just in advance of that area of low pressure. We'll take this beyond, getting into Monday afternoon, Monday evening now, watching for more showers and storms possibly along this corridor here from the southern plains into the upper Midwest, from Texas to Iowa and Wisconsin. This would be Tuesday afternoon. Taking this on into Wednesday afternoon, watching this front kind of slowly make its way south. This is slowly bringing the summer-like warmth to an end. High pressure on the backside does look like we quiet out as far as precipitation is concerned across the Corn Belt. Getting into the back half of next week, this is looking at now getting into Thursday and Friday of next week, so getting out there quite a bit. This is also when we could see some colder temperatures and perhaps the first frost in parts of the upper Midwest as colder air comes in on the backside, or at least cooler air, bringing the summer-like warmth to a close across the Corn Belt. Taking a look at the temperature or the thunderstorm index here that I've developed over here, watching where environments are more favorable for thunderstorms, again tracking that risk through the weekend across parts of the Corn Belt. Here we'll look at the Friday afternoon risk, again that highest from eastern Kansas into northern Illinois. Jumping ahead to Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, again that frontal boundary kind of stalled in the region. That's what keeps at least an isolated chance for a shower or storm from Missouri into Indiana as we head through Saturday afternoon. Getting into Sunday, now seeing that severe storm risk in advance of the next area of low pressure developing across parts of South Dakota and Nebraska. Taking this into Monday, it does look like we're picking up on a fairly significant chance for some strong storms across the upper Midwest on Monday afternoon and evening. This would be parts of eastern Nebraska into Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. We'll have to watch this carefully, but maybe a chance for a late season severe weather event across parts of the upper Midwest on Monday. Before this front finally begins to clear the area, this risk drops down into parts of Iowa, Illinois, and Wisconsin on Tuesday. Before finally a front clears the area, we bring in a new air mass, one that's a little bit less supportive of these widespread showers and storms, but really an active period as we head through the next 4 or 5 days from parts of Kansas into Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois. Those are states I've been mentioning a lot with these almost daily chances for showers and storms. How much snow are we talking? Well, we're not talking about any snow in the Corn Belt, really. Maybe a couple snowflakes in far northwestern Nebraska, far northwestern North Dakota is what I meant to say there. But watching for some accumulating snow across parts of the Canadian Prairie and Alberta, Saskatchewan, and then parts of Montana and the high elevations of the Intermountain Northwest. But no snow in the forecast accumulating over the next week in the immediate Corn Belt. We will see that colder weather come in. Here we watch the temperatures over the next week or so. Very warm across the Corn Belt as we head through the early part of the week, but then watching things begin to moderate, watching cooler air begin to come in late next week. And that's when we see that chance for some frost across the upper Midwest, Minnesota, and Wisconsin as we get into the later part of the week, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. This is taking a look at our frost probability model, and again, watching cooler air begin to sink in on the backside of this early week storm system as we head into mid and late week, seeing the first frost opportunities across the northern plains as we get into Thursday morning, and then seeing the chance for some frost in parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin even as we head into the weekend. Total accumulated precipitation, just playing this out. Again, you're seeing the same areas being hammered here, picking up on parts of Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the northern half of Illinois as our more frequent corridor for showers and storms. Colder precipitation on the backside here. This is, again, where we have some snow possible in Montana and then cold rain across North Dakota. Let's go ahead. We'll just look at the high temperatures for the next 5 days then. Again, cool to the north, warm to the south. High temperatures today in the 50s across the northern plains, near 90 as you head off to the south, in the 90s in the Mid-South, Kentucky and Tennessee, spending the next few days in the 90s. Here's your high temperatures for Saturday. Sunday, we start to bring more widespread warmth into the Corn Belt. Monday, only cooling off across parts of the Dakotas, still warm across a big chunk of the Corn Belt. Same thing on Tuesday, parts of central Illinois and Indiana still flirting with 90 degrees on Tuesday afternoon before we begin to cool off as we head into the later part of the week. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have a look at the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Monday Morning Ag Forecast video, and I will be back with your next Corn Belt regional forecast on Tuesday morning. Have a great day and a wonderful weekend.